Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another installment of the CBCS Top 10 Most Submitted Books video. In this video, I basically run down what it is that is being sent in to CBCS. And as a reminder, I get this data directly from them prior to them grading comics. Now, with that said, we are going to run down all 10 books that made the list for the month of November. Number 10 on the list is Wolverine issue number 1, specifically the limited series from 1982. At present, there are 869 total copies of this book on the CBCS population report, with roughly 550 of them graded a blue label. Like so many other books that are out there right now, the value of this comic has actually declined. And according to the data in Go Collect, what we see is that this book at a CBCS 9.8 currently has a value of $538. Number 9 on the list is White Widow issue number 6. And this book was published by the Absolute Comics Group in 2020. And this is also the very first time that I've seen a White Widow book actually make the list in any way, shape, or form. And I think it's honestly a really cool thing because White Widow is not a bad read. So if you have not checked it out, I definitely want to encourage you to do so. Currently, there are only 7 total copies of this book on the CBCS population report, and 0 have been sold according to Go Collect. Number 8 on the list is Spider-Man issue number 1, specifically the Silver Edition variant from 1990. At present, there are 831 total graded copies of this book on the CBCS population report. And honestly, I probably have about 10% of that number in the 100K collection. With that said, the CBCS sales data for this book in Go Collect is a little light. But when you dig into it, what you see is that this book sold for about $78 most recently. And generally speaking, this book has been less than $100 going all the way back to January 2021. One thing that I do want to point out here is that all of the sales data that I'm referencing comes from Go Collect, and we are only specifically looking at sales data associated with CBCS slabs because we're looking at the CBCS population report and books that are being graded by them. Number 7 on the list is Amazing Spider-Man issue number 300, the direct edition. At present, there are 1,113 direct edition copies of this book on the population report, and because CBCS breaks out newsstands from direct, we know that there are an additional 587 total newsstand copies of this book graded as well. Unfortunately, very few copies of this book graded by CBCS have traded hands in the last 30 days, so I won't be providing any sales data in this video. Number 6 on the list is Secret Wars issue number 1, also known as Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars issue number 1. This book was released in 1984 and is the first ever publisher-wide crossover event. The limited series ran for 12 issues, with issue number 8 being the major key in the run. Believe it or not, there are only 6 total graded copies of this book on the population report, with one of them being a 9.8 and the remainder being either a 9.6 or 9.4. Number 5 is Spider-Man 2099 issue number 1, published in 1992. This book is the origin and first appearance of Spider-Man 2099, and at present there are 477 total graded copies out there, with 1 perfect 10, 1 9.9, and 255 9.8s. This book actually has a cardstock cover, so I'm not surprised to see that there are a couple of really high-grade copies out there. The 9.8 has a 30-day average of $83, while there are 0 sales for the 10. The 9.9 sold in February of 2022 for $2,300. Number 4 on the list is Ultimate Fallout, issue number 4, the first appearance of Miles Morales. And this book is just one of 2 books that were on last month's list that are back again for this month. And last month, this book was in 9th place and now it's in 4th place. The population count on this book is presently at 1,134 total graded copies. Recent sales data for this book is lacking, so I won't be referencing any sales data. Number 3 on the list is Todd McFarlane's Spawn, specifically issue number 1 published in 1992. The population count of this book since last month has slightly increased to 1,277 total graded copies. This is a 21 book increase since the last video a couple of weeks ago. The value likewise has slightly increased to a 30-day average of $160, up from $152 last month. Number 2 on the list is Marvel Superheroes Secret Wars, issue number 8, the direct edition. This book is the origin of the black costume, which later becomes Venom. It is also the second appearance of Spider-Woman Julia Carpenter. There are currently 575 total graded copies of this book on the CBCS population report, with 102 of them landing at a 9.8. The last sale for a CBCS 9.8 was $482, which is also currently the FMV for this book, according to Go Collect. And number 1 on the list is Venom Lethal Protector issue number 1. But unlike last month, this is not a variant. This is the original Venom from 1993. At present, there are 124 total copies of this book on the population report, with only one of them scoring a 9.9, which is a little shocking because this book is also a cardstock cover. The most recent sale for this book at a 9.8 was for $90 in November. With that said, we are going to wrap this video up, but again, I want to encourage you to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. And if you need to reach out to me for whatever reason, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care. If you're interested in taking your comic book knowledge to the next level, I want to encourage you to check out our new guide, The Guide to Smart Comic Collecting, co-written by Doug Bratton. This guide will help you to elevate your game, and you can find it on RegieCollects.com.